Hey everyone, welcome to Reality TV News Update, the place where we bring you the latest updates, fun moments, and behind-the-scenes stories you won't want to miss. Rylie Jeffries sat on the tailgate of his battered truck with the roar of the afternoon's bulls still in his ears as the small-town sunset faded behind the red barns of the ranch in Luther, Oklahoma. He leaned back, boots resting on the hitch, the smell of hay and leather all around him. When his wife finally called, he thought back to how it had come to this, when everything cracked. The edge of the ride. Rylie had always lived for the ride. He chased that jolt of terror and triumph from the moment he learned to mount a bull at the age of 13. The leather, the bucking spine of the beast, and the cheers of the crowd. He convinced himself that the bulls were truthful. They did not lie, cheat, or play games. He accepted and understood danger. But life off the circuit was messier. He married young, Emily. Emily had faith in Rylie because of his determination, tenacity, and promise to improve their situation. They had a small house, a few brood mares, and a few young children. Math and bills and dinner dishes began to sneak in around the edges of the dream. Rylie's growing fame led to more travel, sponsorships, and rodeos as seasons progressed. At home, Emily held the fort. Even when he returned with a fractured leg or broken jaw, both had happened, she supported him. But in the quiet places, things started to fall apart. Missed birthdays, calls that went unanswered, and the coldness of late-night arrivals. The night that started it all. It was Friday evening. At a local rodeo, Rylie won, which was a big win that promised a leap forward. After the lights and music, he and his friends headed to a bar. The drinks were stacked like awards. Rylie laughed, swaggered, felt larger than his 27 years, felt untouchable. However, the truck parked outside became his foe. The engine revved, he slid behind the wheel. He knew he'd had too many. But the voice in his head said, "You've done worse. You got away every time." The dark highway stretched ahead. In Perkins, Oklahoma, the patrol car caught him. Headlights blaring, siren wailing, Rylie's mirror held red and blue. He was arrested for public intoxication and driving without a valid license. When he entered the house that evening, Emily's expression hit him like a bull's charge. No applause. Nothing more than the hollow echo of a hero's return. He said he was sorry. She nodded. However, the wound had widened. The slow burn. Rylie attempted to fix things. He promised trips home, date nights, less drinking. At the rodeos, he rode like his life depended on it, and maybe it did. But inside the house, the bills piled, the kids asked why Daddy missed school plays again, and Emily looked in his eyes and saw someone she no longer recognized. In 2024, Rylie was caught driving with a suspended license, which resulted in a second arrest. He pleaded not guilty and paid the fine. The legal dust settled. But in his marriage, the damage spread. Emily stopped speaking about the future. She started talking about getting by. Rylie felt betrayed. Emily felt scared. Emily awoke one late night, shaking her hands when the phone rang. On the other end was a number she didn't recognize, a voice telling her Rylie had been in another incident. The rage flooded. She was crushed by fear. In the mirror, she asked, "What are you doing to us?" The breaking point. One Sunday afternoon, Emily held the door open, her posture stiff. The kids were standing behind her, clutching their favorite toys. Rylie came in, still dusty from the barn, boots kicking up straw. Emily handed him a stack of papers. Court notices, a new traffic citation, phone calls from worried family members. "Emily, come on, not this again," Rylie said, voice hard. "No," she replied. "I'm done serving as your cleanup crew this time." "Do you know what I do and gamble with?" he exploded. "I know what you risk," she answered, "and I'm done rolling the dice." He laughed, a hollow, bitter way. "You'll be back," he said. "You are always." Emily met his gaze. "Perhaps I am. Or perhaps I am finally leaving." She shifted. The children followed. The hallway was filled with Riley's roar. The arm of the wife. In the cold hours of the night, Emily sat alone in the living room, the phone in her lap. She gave the number a call. She waited. Then she said, "I'd like to report something," to the operator. She gave them the address. She described what had happened, the threats, the fear, the driving. She said that she thought her husband was a danger to herself and others. At dawn, lights flashed through the front windows, sirens blaring. Rylie heard them before he saw them. He stepped outside, boots crunching gravel, and saw the patrol cars. 2 uniformed officers approached, calm, serious. The children were kept safe inside as Emily stood nearby with her arms folded. "You're under arrest for driving with a suspended license, reckless endangerment, and violating probation," the officer read the charges. Rylie stopped breathing. He glanced at Emily. She didn't flinch. It was finished. The aftermath. The courtroom was cold. The judge looked over the record, which included the arrest for driving under the influence in 2018, the renewed license suspension, traffic violations, and the bench warrant for missing court. Rylie sat with his head bowed in the cheap wooden chair, his wrists tapping the table. Emily sat a row behind, holding the children's hands. She wore no dramatic makeup, no tear-stained cheeks. She simply sat. Quiet. Strong. When the gavel hit, the bailiff cuffed Rylie. He looked over at Emily, expecting perhaps some flicker, a plea, an apology, a sign. Nothing. Just the silence of finality. The reckoning. In jail, Rylie had time to think. Walls echoed his mistakes. He saw his reflection in the glass, the bull rider, the champion, the husband who broke promises. He realized how he had traded control for chaos. He had believed the bull was the wildest thing in his life, but it was his own behavior. Emily returned home with the kids. She packed what needed packing, she changed the locks, she hired a lawyer, she filed for divorce. She replaced the hope of him returning with a hope of them moving on. Rylie eventually pleaded guilty on the most recent charge. He faced fines, community service, and probation. His license revoked once more. The headline read something like, "Rylie Jeffries arrested again." But for him, it was far more than that. It was the moment he lost everything he thought he couldn't. The turning wheel. Months later, Rylie left the cell a different man. The cheers of the rodeo no longer echoed with the same thrill. The truck's engine hummed like a threat, not a promise. He once paid Emily a visit to get some things at her request. The kids gave him a courteous and cautious look. He felt the weight of what he'd done. Emily asked him, "Will you ever ride again?" He replied, "Yes." She gave a nod. "Then ride for something better. Ride for them. Ride on your own." He didn't reply. He left in a car. The road stretched ahead, straight, quiet. No music. Without party lights. The bulls didn't wait this time. Epilogue. Standing on his porch late one night, Rylie watched the stars. The smell of hay drifted up. He remembered Emily's voice, "I'm done rolling the dice." He realized the gamble wasn't on the bull. It was his choices. And it's all over. He had lived a story, and the tailgate ringing, the engine revving, and the siren in the distance were all echoes of it. This time, the ride was over. He would walk a different path. Because sometimes, the wildest ride is away from the arena, into the quiet reckoning of who you really are.